Paul Jackson Jr. in 3 words. A triple threat.
The best one.
He the man. He the man.
The big day, showing up to the gig. Rhythm guitarist apply here. They have guitar soloist apply too. This is great. Man. Gee, wonder what's wrong with that guy. Oh well. It's my big chance. Rhythm guitarist. Must be some problem. Nobody wants to play rhythm. Everybody's in line to be the soloist. That's kind of strange. Maybe he just doesn't understand. Oh well. Can't get no love. Oh well. Hi, I'm Paul Jackson Jr., and welcome to the science of rhythm guitar. You know, rhythm is so important for today's guitarist, especially when you consider the fact that for every solo taken, there are at least 10 rhythm parts that need to be played. So it is of paramount importance that you become not only a great soloist, but a great rhythm player as well. And in today's curriculum for guitar players, rhythm unfortunately is overlooked too much of the time. But I'm here to fill that void. So get up, pick up your guitar and your manuscript paper, your tuner and your guitar picks, and come with me as we enter the laboratory to study the science of rhythm guitar. Technique. Now let's talk about technique for a minute. Technique is equally as important with rhythm playing as it is with every other type of guitar playing, be it single string soloing or any type of melodic playing or classical music. So we need to build our technique for good solid rhythm playing as well as for all other types of guitar playing. First thing we should do though is tune up, okay? I'm going to give you my A and you tune your guitar accordingly and we can all be in sync here, okay? I'll give it to you one more time, just for you slow folks. No, one more time. One of the things that I recommend for building good technique is not using strings that are too light. For certain playing situations, you need to use 9s or even 8s. But for building really solid technique, I recommend using at least a 10 or 11, being like a 10 through 46 set or 11 through like 49 or 52, which is what I'm using on this guitar today. Just for the standpoint of building good hand strength. Also, from the standpoint of picks, I don't recommend using a pick that's too light. If you use a pick that's too light, you can never get the timing really correct between your left hand and your right hand for good rhythm playing. So I always use at least a heavy pick, and I like the triangular shaped ones. You notice this one has my name on it. I use the triangular shaped ones, but the teardrop ones are fine as well. Whatever suits your hand size and your playing style is fine. Okay, so let's talk about actually playing. One of the things I use for timing between the left hand and the right hand is just playing simple 1-octave scales. It's a method that I learned in school called the 3-on-a-string method, and what it is playing 1-octave major scales within a 6-fret range. And I'll play a little of it slowly for you so you can get a feed on actually what it looks like. I recommend always practicing with a metronome. A metronome does several things for you. One of the things that it does, it forces you to play in time. If you're playing along with your metronome at any tempo and you realize that you're not with it, that means that you're either rushing or you're lagging behind. Another thing that a metronome does is it forces you to not stop, because a lot of times we'll like get stuck on a phrase or get stuck in the middle of something, or something doesn't sound very good and we'll want to stop, and a metronome kind of pushes you along into continuing. Third thing a metronome does is it helps or it assists in the timing between your left hand and your right hand. So it's always a good idea to practice with a metronome and always practice in tune. So we're going to play a little of the 3 on a string method in time at a tempo of about 108, and I'll show you what it looks like, and you'll get an idea. Another thing that's very good to practice is what I call the first fret hand buster. And it's a very simple exercise that's very good for building left hand strength, or if you're left-handed, right hand strength. You alternate between your first and fourth, first and third, and first and second fingers. You go down the strings, go up 1 fret, go up the strings, go up 1 fret, and go down again. The exercise goes something like this. Once again, I recommend always using a metronome. We're going to take it a little bit slower because speed is not what's most important here. It's accuracy, okay? So it looks a little something like this. Another technique that's very, very important in good solid rhythm playing is muting. Muting is something that we kind of take for granted, but it's something that should be practiced as part of your technique practice. Let's just take a simple C scale, and we're going to play it in 8th notes, but we're going to practice the muting technique. Now, muting will vary from the type of guitar you're playing, from the fact if you have a tremolo or if you don't have a tremolo, the scale of your neck, and also the size of your hands. What you want to do is place the outside of your palm right in front of your bridge, being careful not to push the guitar out of tune, especially if you have a tremolo, and not to choke the sound too much. What you want to practice or listen for is the right tone. The first thing we're going to practice is up and down strokes. So I'm going to take the outside of my palm, put it right in front of the bridge, and go up and down, and we're going to play that C scale. Once again, a little bit slower. Okay, now we're going to try that same C scale with only downstrokes. You'll notice a subtle difference between the up and down strokes versus just the downstrokes. And it's these subtleties that will personalize your own rhythm playing. And you should not only practice just single strings or just single notes by themselves, practice a few intervals. Practice, you know, like fifths, for instance, like the old rock and roll kind of thing. You can practice arpeggios, muting arpeggios. You can practice intervals like thirds. Thirds are very good to practice muted. And just, make up exercises for yourself to personalize the muting technique. But it's something that should be practiced. And once again, you want to concentrate on the end result, which is a good, solid, muted tone. Not too choked off, not too open, but just right. Another technique that's often used in rhythm guitar playing is what I choose to call popping the strings. Now, it's not actually popping the strings like you would pull them, although that's a good technique. It's really playing very, very hard to get a really percussive pop out of your strings with a pick. And this is where heavy picks really come in handy. And it sounds something like this. You hear the strings actually pop. Okay, this is how you practice it. Grip your pick as you normally would, and just pick any pattern that's easy to pick. It could be a couple of notes or one note even, just to get the technique down. And start off and play harder and harder until you hear the string pop in a pleasant sound, but not out of tune or out of whack. And you have to keep the groove going. That's the challenge here. So turn your metronome on, pick a note, and go. Just like that. Strumming is an important part of every person's rhythm playing, and it should be smooth and even, and at times choppy, but the thing is that you have to be able to control how smooth, how even, how choppy. There was a guitarist by the name of Robert White who played on all the original Motown records, and one of the things that he was really known for was his smooth, even, wonderful strumming. And that's something that has to be practiced. It's a technique that can be practiced. Okay, we're going to take a very, very simple chord. Let's just take an A major 7 chord, A flat major 7 chord, excuse me. Okay, and just practice some very simple 16th note strumming exercises, keeping them nice and even. In fact, just to assure that we stay in time, let's put the metronome on. Let's turn the metronome on. And keep it nice and even. And that seems a little boring, but as you practice it, it will get more and more even. And as you start to practice it, you'll notice that it's not that simple to do, to keep it nice and even in time. So you want to practice making your strums nice and even and smooth. Then once you've gotten them pretty smooth, keep the metronome on and add a few accents here and there to make it a little syncopated. Just to make it a little bit more interesting. And once you start to get a handle on that, one of the things you want to practice is moving from chord to chord and making nice, smooth transitions. We're going to take that same A flat major 7 chord and move it to a D flat major 7 chord, concentrating on making the transition between the two nice and even. Metronome on and add some syncopation. something like this maybe. You can vary the chords. These are just 2 chords, but play a lot of the different chords you know. Play some different nice chord progressions and move between them, and just feel free to experiment with this. Do what feels good and have fun while you're practicing. Just have fun. That's a technique called left-handed chord muting. What's involved here is keeping the right hand even, keeping the strums in the right hand even, and raising up or doing the syncopation in your left hand, in your fingering hand. I don't want to leave out the left-handed guitar players there. You do the syncopation as opposed to doing the muting and syncopation and accents with your right hand or your strumming hand. You do them with your left hand or your fingering hand. I'm going to play the same chord without doing the accents with the left hand, and it's something like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pump up and down and do the syncopation with my fingering hand, keeping the strings even in the right hand, but syncopating the 2 and getting most of the accents from actually the left hand. And it sounds like it did a little bit earlier, like this. Something like that. And move around and try different chords. There was a group called Chic who had a very, very excellent guitarist, and they made a number of records that were wonderful, wonderful records, and he employed this technique probably better than anyone I know. They had a song that I'm sure you recognize. The guitar part went something like this. Something like that, employing that very, very important technique. So once again, it takes some experimenting and fooling around, and try different chords. Try chords you like, major 7 chords, minor 7 chords, 13th chords, whatever you want, augmented 11th chords. Whatever you like, just mix and match and have fun with it. Sorry, I was just sitting here having some fun. But anyway, back to the lesson. What I want to talk about now is a concept very, very important to my style of playing, and the concept is called taking the chord apart. Very, very simple concept once you get the hang of it. We're going to start with a very simple chord, just an A minor 7th chord. Okay. Now, what notes do you have in an A minor 7 chord? You have the root, which is the A, the minor 3rd, C, the 5th, E, and the 7th, G. Now, since you know that you have all of those notes can be used at any time that you would ordinarily use an A minor 7th chord. Let's go back to my groove for a minute, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now that worked, but it wasn't very interesting, was it? Not so. So what you can do is take the notes in that A minor 7th chord and use them to replace the entire chord. Show you what I mean. Instead of playing, let's just take 2 of the notes. Let's take the minor 7th, the G, and the A. And you can do something like this. Just 2 notes, G and A. Let's do something else. Let's add one more note. Let's add the minor 3rd. We'll add the C natural. Do something like this. Just 3 notes, right out of the A minor 7th chord. Let's add the last 2, the E natural and the G, and see some of the things we can come up with.